And here you go. It's good to see you all once again. As you know, I'm Rod Duff of Insights and Straight Talk, an IMS company. And every week or so, it seems like we're doing them more than once a week these days. But as you know, we talk about empowering the middle class. And that age goes across a great spectrum. Also known as the great middle class. So today I'm really excited. I have the honor and the opportunity to bring on my eldest son, my eldest child, and talk about what he does. And there's so many things we could get into that this next generation is giving us to be able to how the world is evolving. So, there's AI, there's Bitcoins, there's everything new about how the world is taking a dramatic jump into the next thing. And that being AI, and that being, like I said, Bitcoin and creating multiple revenue streams. With that, I take great pride in bringing on my eldest son, way smarter than me. He's teaching me some of this stuff. Brandon, hello there.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I am doing amazing. Thanks for asking.
Is it as cold there as it is here? Brandon's in Texas, by the way, folks.
Yes, it is. Well, yesterday we were driving home from somewhere, and it was like 30 degrees. Feels like 8 degrees with the wind chill. So it's definitely a cold one. Yeah,
that's where I am too. So you heard the kind of lead in. There's just so many things that we could talk about because you're kind of an innovator, and I'm biased. I get it. A bit of an innovator, and you're an influencer. I see you do different, and we've talked about different things about that. But why don't we start this way? Let me. I love how your
what I can do is just kind of go like my backstory of how I got to where I am, and then then we can just go off that. So previously, I was a personal trainer. I made a lot of money with clients. I got bored of it because it was for me, personal training has like a lifespan. So like my clientele when I was training, they wanted to train with me because I was good, but also I was about that age, like 20s to 30s. Personally, if I was hiring a personal trainer today, I wouldn't want to hire someone in their 50s, 60s, late 40s, because they probably don't have the same kind of mentality or lifestyle as I did. And so having that younger trainer is someone who can keep up with you and that sort of thing. So I had an expiration date for my career at that point. So I needed it to think of a way to take my business and move out of fitness and have a way to replace that. And I got into real estate. And so I was like, I'll buy real estate because real estate is going to allow me to have rents come in, houses appreciate over time. I get tax benefits, I get depreciation, that sort of thing. And so I ended up buying 10 rental units in Vegas. I had a friend out there who was training with me, and he was like, I'm flipping houses in Vegas. You should buy it out there. It's a booming market. Lo and behold, I started buying and he never flipped. And so I just kept buying real estate, and I got up to 10 rental units. And then we moved to Texas because I got bored of fitness, because I had clients that thought that they could show up to the gym for 1 hour a couple times a week, and 23 hours in the day, they could just do whatever they want. That's not the truth. It's a lifestyle. It's not a 1 hour a day commitment. And so from there, I left. We moved to Texas because my in-laws were moving out here. And I was like, we're going to have children at some point. So I might as well work from home. I have a stay-at-home job. And so I didn't want to, be be a trainer anymore. I wanted to actually do something. And so we moved out there. I started an online business doing software as a service, and that did pretty well until my developer was being paid way too much money to do nothing. And so I ended up canning him and going a different way. But I had a car that I was renting out, and that
Right.
car was always rented out all the time. And so I was like, I'll add a second car because this car is getting a little bit beat up. And so then that one was rented out all the time. And so then I added a third car, and I got up to like 8 or 9 cars, and those were all rented out. And I treated them like real estate because they cash flowed better than any rental property I had. They
Sure.
were depreciating asset, so I could write that off quite a bit. But it doesn't appreciate like real estate, but it cash flowed better than any rental property I've ever owned. And the cost to actually get in was great, and the cash on cash return of my car was way better than any rental property that we own. We were getting a cash on cash return about 7 to 10% a year versus
Wow.
a car rental. I was getting 100% cash on cash return within a year. So
Oh,
what I mean by
geez.
it is if I put in $10,000 on a car, I would expect to get that back within that year versus real estate. If I put $30,000 down for a down payment, then I would only get 8% for that back for that year. And so
Gotcha.
got into real estate and then got into cryptocurrencies in the last bull run, I think 2021, 2022, and made
Mhm.
a great deal of money in that by getting into the NFT space or digital art space and doing play to earn with that, which is players would essentially rent my pictures, use them to play, or digital assets, use them to play a video game and earn money, and I would earn a percentage of their winnings. We won't go into that. It's a whole like series to talk about, but
Yeah, there's a lot to talk
there's
about
still to
there.
talk about. But
My mind's going like, wow.
everything I've
Go
got
ahead.
into, I treat it like I would be real estate. It has to cash flow positively. I need my cash on cash return to be X amount, and I need to have tax benefits on them. And so if you look at how the wealthy make money is they use debt to make money. And so we
Yeah.
always were told like debt's not, go to school, take on debt, get a house, take on debt. But if you look at how real assets and how real wealth is created is by leveraging one asset class to buy another asset class where the debt has to be greater, the ROI has to be greater, or the cash flow has to be greater than the debt service that you take on. And so what I mean by that is if you look at banks will lend you or will borrow your money at 0.001 or 0.01% at a savings
Right.
account and will lend it to me as a real estate investor at 5%. So they're making a difference on the spread. And so that's exactly what you need to do with wealth generation is you need to make a difference on the spread. So like when we bought a house, like our first rental property, and we refinanced all of our mortgages, the debt service only increased by I think $1,000 a month, but we paid off Lauren's
Wow.
student loan debt. We paid off. We bought another rental property, and for taking on $1,000 more, we're actually increasing our cash flow by 3 or 4 thousand. And so if you have to understand how debt works because debt is actually a wealth builder. And the reason why Bitcoin was approved, to kind of wrap it up with the story and to get into the cryptocurrency part of it, is the
Mhm.
reason why cryptocurrency was turned into an ETF and now it's traded on the stock exchange essentially is because it's a thing you can borrow against. So if you look at the greatest wealth builders, real estate, stocks, you can do margin loans off stocks. With businesses, you can do lines of credit. With stocks, you can do margin loans. Real estate, you can do cash out refinances. And now with crypto, you can borrow against it as leverage. And so each of those you can borrow against to buy another asset class or the same asset class to increase your cash flow and increase your appreciation with economies of scale. And so that it's kind of like my little story. So if you have any follow-up questions, or if you want to go in one direction or the other, I can definitely expand on that.
Yeah, no, I'm the whole Bitcoin. Well, obviously, Bitcoin's been around for a while. When it first came on, it was kind of a mystical thing, and what is this all about? And then it was starting, and I'm just starting to understand what it's about. I mean, how, like, I can buy gold, right? Or is it like buying stock in something? Because you said you can borrow against it. And is this the way, 5 years, 10 years, 40 years from now, is this the way things are going to go, as far as financial? Is it all digital now? And what does that look like?
Yeah, so you have to think of who's buying Bitcoin right now and why are the wealthy getting into it. So one, it has
Exactly.
to be. I'm a very, I guess I wouldn't say conspiracy theorist, but I definitely like to um, think about things and look at all angles. And so, if you look at the biggest, like
Yes.
MicroStrategy is buying up a lot of cryptocurrency. Big companies are now buying up cryptocurrency, and governments are buying up cryptocurrency. The United States is going to have a crypto reserve for Bitcoin, so they're buying up like they're going. I guess they're going to have a reserve in Bitcoin, but
Wow,
if
that fascinates me, man.
yeah, so if you think about that, so why would people buy Bitcoin? To
Mm,
become rich, essentially,
mm,
but there's no real tangible asset that is attached to it. So for me, I like to think of Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain, in a sense. And so
okay.
if people are buying up digital currencies that are you own, or you have your own wallet, or you um, own this, there's no real attachment to it. Like there's nothing. It's not attached to anything in value. I mean, it's attached to Tether, you could say, which is the pair that most people trade with for cryptocurrency. But if
The
people
pair.
spend
What do you mean
all,
by what? Wait. Sorry. What do you mean by pair that people use?
so it's when people trade crypto, it's usually with a USDT, which is US dollar tether, which is another cryptocurrency but a stable coin, and it's pegged to the dollar. And so if
Okay.
people are buying, when they buy, say you buy Bitcoin, and you are on like crypto.com or Binance, when you sell it, you get USDT. It's usually paired with another coin that ties it to its value. So like Bitcoin by itself is backed by billions and billions of USDT, essentially. Um, but we're not going to go into the whole like
Yeah,
complicated
there's
stuff.
so
So
much.
don't worry
There's
about
so
that.
much. I get it.
But
Yeah.
let's just say it's not really tied to any thing. Like before, the US dollar used to be tied to gold, and then
Right.
they took the backing away from that, so which allowed them to mint the dollar into oblivion. And if you look at the dollar value and
Yeah.
inflation, the power of the dollar has dropped significantly over the last 100 years or whatever, 60 years since the dollar has gone down. Same thing with the cryptocurrency. Like you can mint Tether and use it to buy crypto, but now that's forcing appreciation into Bitcoin because there's more money coming in to crypto. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, if I was a conspiracy theorist, and the reason
Yeah. A lot of
uh,
us are there, Brandon. Don't worry.
so I would say
Lot
that
of conspiracy theories come true, right? I
right.
mean, they do.
And the whole government created conspiracy theory as a way to say that's a bad thing, to be like to single people out. Anyways, it doesn't matter. To go back to why people would buy um, crypto is to get people to buy it to be like this thing to save money. But in reality, it allows for people not to buy houses It allows people not to buy other asset classes so that big corporations can then borrow against their Bitcoin or borrow against anything else, take out that money and buy land, buy and reinvest their money into housing, back into the business. And so it's kind of like I said, the man behind the curtain here, where essentially they're telling you to buy Bitcoin because we're all doing this. All the big corporations are, government is, but the people that are not wealthy will just buy it. They'll just buy it, but not borrow against it. So they'll hold it long term, kind of like stocks, kind of like your 401k, because they want that money tied up, so that they're not spending. You're not spending your money. Your money's tied up so that other big wealthy people, investors like me, will use your money to buy other asset classes. It's a form of control in a sense, because if you're buying up Bitcoin and other assets that you can't use, it's tied up somewhere and you're holding on it for 20, 30, 40 years, the people that are in the know are taking and borrowing against it, using that money to then buy asset classes, to build apartments, take up land, to buy farmland, so that they can control the middle class and the lower class with rents, with owning all the land, actually owning the physical assets. So to me, I think, yes, Bitcoin is just another asset class to borrow against, but you need to understand how to use that money and leverage it to make more money, because the real money is off of building off debt and increasing your cash flow and increasing your assets, but leveraging multiple asset classes off of each other.
And you're creating a way for your money to do double things or multiple, like you say on your thing, the money hustles more than your money hustles more than I do.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. So
I said it inverted. So go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so if you think about we only have enough time in the day, and we're I need to pick up all of these products that I bought and resell on Amazon. So I only have a certain amount of time in the day. But really, for our rental properties, over the course of 2 or 3 years, they doubled in price. And so through appreciation. Yeah. And so if I made $1 million from appreciation, I did nothing to do that. And so being able to leverage asset classes, and if you think about it, why do you think these huge stocks or crypto falls every time? Is when people are ready, the money cycle is ready to pull out liquidity to buy other asset classes, they don't mind losing, $1,000 or $1 million to make $5 million, because they already took their leverage position and bought other asset classes that are already bringing them in money. So when the recessions hit, that's when all the wealthy have exited their positions to drop everything, take that money, and then buy up all of the real estate, all when prices go down, all the stocks that are low, all these different things, so that they can buy at a discount. It's how wealth is made is in recessions, but it's forced in recessions by the wealthy, so that they can create this narrative that there's all this doom and gloom. In reality, they're just doubling up on their positions.
Yeah. That's big picture stuff. And I know it's nice to peek behind the curtain. How do you tell people who aren't in this, what are the steps into, what are some ideas that you should, that we, especially us older people, the generation ahead that aren't comfy with this new type of numeration, meaning crypto? What are some ideas there?
Too bad. Because generation went through the internet, and you thought that the internet wasn't going to be, it was going to be a fad, and now we use it every single day. And so if the big money is saying cryptocurrency is going to be, look at 401ks. They did the same thing. That was introduced, and now it's forced on every single company, so that the companies get huge tax deductions. Your money's tied up for 30, 40 years till you retire. And same thing with crypto. Like if you get in, you're going to make money over the long term, no matter what. But it's going to be at a point where it's controlled, where it only goes up a certain amount every single year because they own the most of it, and they're only going to allow X amount to go up every single year. Because if they don't, then it's going to spiral out of control, and they can't control it. So it's important to, if you're a long-term investor, like just like your 401k and your stocks, Bitcoin is going to be there for the long term, because the people that run the country already made that a thing. BlackRock, Fidelity, all the major corporations. So they're already in it. They're already going to have their money in it. They've already went through the process to make it an ETF, so that it gives them the thumbs up essentially for the rest of the country. So if you're in it for the long term, you're going to make money. But I wouldn't get into any of the meme coins, any of the Pepe's, or any of that. I think at a certain point, government is going to create massive regulation where they say you can only buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or a few of these other ones. That way, all the money is going to be drained out of those smaller coins and put into Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is then going to shoot up the price even more. BlackRock, Fidelity are going to make a shit ton of money. They'll sell their positions, which will create a recession again, and then they'll buy it up again, and that's how the cycle works. So if you're in it for the long term, yes, but skills outpace investments. Like if you can increase your market skills, or your market, just your market skill share essentially, then you can make
meaning what
money. Meaning
if what
you meaning that if you work a 9 to 5, like and you're not improving yourself to have better skills to give to the marketplace, where you can then transfer to a better job or to another career path that pays you a lot more, that's gonna do well. That's gonna make you 1,000 or 2,000% returns on your investment than Bitcoin in a single year. So increasing your skill set is way better than investing. But you need the excess cash flow to work for you while you're asleep, because go ahead.
So you're saying, like, in my world, you increased your skills, and like you said, go that path to get more revenue and to raise your standard of living. When you talk skills here, you're saying become a better digital artist kind of thing, more known in AI. What do you mean by that? Those skills that arise the revenue.
Yeah, so most people that have a 9 to 5, they expect a 2 or 3% cost of living raise every single year. And the last time they actually improved their skill set was when they went to college, or when they had to be forced to go to a seminar or something. Most people don't improve their skill set year after year. And so they only get a 2%, 3% raise. And so if you, the people that I've known that had 9 to 5s that increased their income every single year were the ones that jumped from position to position. They worked at a company for 4 years, they got a new title, and then they leveraged that title to get another job. That gave them a 20% raise. My wife did this. She went in California, was making a great deal of money, moved to Texas. We got she had a decrease in pay, but with taxes, cost of living, it dropped a little bit, but overall she was coming up on top. And then when she switched to another job, she actually got a 20% increase in profits.
Wow.
Then she got promoted, and now is making well above what she made ever in California with the cost of living down. So if you can increase your skill set by either starting a side hustle, by having tangible skills, another certification, whatever that is you can leverage. You can make a great deal of money by leveraging that skill set versus using that money. So ultimately, you want to increase your skill set all the time and always use your excess money to not buy depreciating assets or materialistic things. You want to put that money to good work and buy real estate, buy you know, stocks, buy crypto, whatever that is. You need to put that extra money to work. So like I'm very frugal. I wear the same. I don't even remember the last time I bought some new clothes or new shoes or anything like that. But
Right.
literally, if you take your money and you put it to work, you can buy your things off your rental income. Essentially, you can borrow against your. So, for instance, like if I have a rental property, I can borrow
Mhm.
against that. We pulled out $100,000 off one of our rental properties. That paid off Lauren's student loan debts. That paid off a few other things. But that debt's not taxed. So that $100,000 we pulled out out of thin air, we're not taxed on that. So that's just money we can use because debt's not taxed. And so then, since if we're holding it long term, our tenants are paying that down. So essentially, we're making money from our tenants and the appreciation that real estate gives with time. And that's with inflation and that sort of thing. That's why we saw so much real estate double and triple over the last couple of years, is because inflation has gone up, but that makes the cost of housing go up a lot more.
Sure, absolutely. Do you still, so basically a bottom line takeaway, at least one of them are, excuse me, you want to be using your assets well, you're going to want to be debting your assets while you're so that your money's always moving. The more your money is moving and going into different streams and going into different areas, the better, right? I think I lost him here.
The economies of scale, you have to think that if I have one asset class, one asset that is going is scaling. If I had 2 or 3 or 10, that is going to go up a lot more. If I have a rental property that is a 4-unit versus 4 single-family houses, the cost to replace those roofs are going to be much cheaper with a 4-unit than it is with 4 separate properties. So that's why if you look at how the rental market's going, everyone's building apartments because you can fit so much more housing in one little space, and you're able to make a lot more money. Pretty soon, I would say it's crazy because there's so much land that is out there, but housing is so expensive. So again, people are controlling the land, saying where it can build, which is artificially inflating the cost of living when you could go buy some land somewhere else for super cheap and then build your own. But then obviously you don't have the local area to support it. Like you don't have grocery stores and that sort of thing. But yeah, there's so much land still, but it's being artificially suppressed so that people that own houses make more money. So it's just how it works.
Are you saying, Bill Gates buys a lot of land, a lot of farmland, a lot of different land, the Chinese, whatever, but that goes on every day. Are you saying they're not looking for an investment in their land? They're looking to safeguard the pricing and increase the pricing of homes?
Yeah, definitely. Like,
wow.
Everything is being
suppressed. You don't think about that, right? You don't think about that, right? It's like that's the next level of what these guys or girls, what these people are doing.
Yeah, I mean, this is how I've always said things. It's like there's the tier system, I would say, is first comes money. Once you have enough money, then you go for power. And once you have enough power, you go for control. And so that's where a lot of the people that own, that have the influence, well, instead of power, in exchange power for influence, once you have that, there's nothing really to go from there. So now you need to control things. And so if that's controlling people, if that's controlling the food supply, if that's controlling the markets, if that's controlling housing, if that's controlling the pharmaceutical companies, like all of these things, all the once you have enough money, like there's what else are you gonna do with money? You can buy everything. So and
Right.
once you have enough influence, like you can get what you want just by asking, being the right people. So then from there, you just need to control things. And if you can't control things, then you don't get to. It doesn't allow you to have those two other things because they kind of feed off of each other. And so,
Sure.
um, yeah. So once you have that, I mean, that's like how the timeline goes essentially is you have enough money, you have enough influence. Now it's just amount of controlling things. If that's food supply by owning farms and farmland with Bill Gates, if that's uh, telling people to eat an American diet so that you are in an American hospital when you get diseases, and then you're on American pharmaceuticals, then you're controlling the not life expectancy, but the what people need essentially because they're going by the American diet, which is bad. And
Horrible.
so
Horrible. Yeah.
all these things is how you uh, I wouldn't say brainwash, but control people. Is like you teach them at a very young age the food pyramids. You get them taught on that.
Right.
You
Yeah.
get them to
Yeah.
believe you condition them very very early on in the school systems. You get them to be used to bells and whistles, taking their lunch breaks, their 15-minute smoke break or 15-minute break for recess,
Right.
their noon time with the bell for lunches. The American school system is built so that you're able to have factory workers that are able to clock in and clock out and be controlled, and you give them their stipend of money for the month so that they can get their bare necessities, and you have them be on the American food diet so that they're in American hospitals and on American pharmaceuticals. And so that you have their money until they're 60 or 70 through the 401k. And then you have them in boxes of apartments so that they're always very barely getting by with the cost of rents so that they don't own anything. So you don't own anything, you eat when you can eat. That is going to put you in a hospital, and so that they can pump you with pharmaceuticals.
So basically, yeah, this gets into a lot of this. This pushes up against a lot of things, and I don't know how much you've watched the show, but pushes up against a lot of things that I like to chit chat about on the insights and straight talk. The ability for people to move ahead is constantly controlled by outside forces, as you put the person behind the curtain, and we talk about becoming empowered and getting more united within the middle class, so that we aren't. I mean, what you're saying is people are basically the government is basically training people to be sheep and be able to go through this cycle that makes others, the elite, the powerful, right, the 1%, more money and or control and so forth. Do you think that's a little bit of conspiracy, and we'll step back out of it? But do you think that's it feels like the world is trying to become the certain people are trying to create a one world order? Is that kind of part of that process in pushing us into, because I mean, let's face it, AI is going to be coming along pretty soon. Well, it's here, but I mean, really going to be involved in our lives. And how are people, I mean, really, money isn't going to be the same. In other words, services and products are going to become so inexpensive to build because it's all automation. The people who aren't the 1% will be doing what they always do. The people below that 1%, well, everybody else, what are they going to benefit or be worsened by the effect of crypto and AI. And how do you defend against that besides, doing the investment? I'm kind of reloading that subject.
Yeah. So AI is definitely going to take over. There's a lot of, we're getting with self-driving cars, images that are and video are already being created that are lifelike, where people can't tell the difference now,
Yeah.
especially I would say the older generation.
Right.
We look at the Nigerian scams that we used to laugh about, where it's like, I'm a Nigerian prince with $35 million, where it's in a trust, but I just need you, my faithful companion, to send me $500 and all this money will be yours. So scammers are getting better with using AI, and it's getting to a point where people can't tell the difference. And so you look at that, and then you look at, you were saying that the cost of things will lower because there's not human labor involved. So, and
the efficiency will be so high.
Right. And so you look at, well, and it's crazy to think too, because you look at like the food corporations and insurance companies, they essentially have losses on purpose. So they over produce foods which go bad, which then they take a loss on. And so they're able to take deductions on their taxes because they're losses, even though they overproduced. And so that allows them to have major profits. Same thing with pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies. Or hospitals rather. Hospitals will say this insulin's $1,000. Insurance will say, I'm only going to pay you guys $50, and the insurer will only have to pay $10. So the hospital takes a $900 loss. The insurance companies make their $100, and the people pay $10. So these hospitals make a great deal of money because they say they lose $900 to produce insulin, which it's not really the case. So like there's all sorts of taxes are meant to help the rich. That's why there's so many loopholes. And so with that, I think, and this is super conspiracy theory, but you look at I think there was a few presidents a few times ago, or that talked about like the only way there would be a one world order essentially would be if there was like an outside invasion coming from like an alien planet or something. Right now we see all these like UFOs coming out of nowhere. You see
crazy, right?
Yeah. So you see all these things that are drones and implanting. So these psyops, essentially, they're pretending like there's now an outside invasion coming. And I think like in the 70s or 60s, there was a radio broadcast where they pretended that there was an alien invasion. People actually thought it was true because it was on the radio. And so
it was in the 50s. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So there's definitely psyopses that are going on that if they were, it would be able to we would only have a one world government if we had an outside force that attacked the human race to bring us all together, essentially.
Do you believe that's the only way it could happen? In other words, another train of thought is that people are that there's the shadow government thing that you've heard of all that, and are the Soroses and all those people that are using us as puppets, are they creating that as well? Or is that an intention, or is it just coincidental?
I think that if they do that, it's just if there's a one world, or governments are just big businesses. And so
they are.
They hold on. So they need to have employees or people that are citizens to make the cog continue to roll. And so if at some point AI is doing it with robotics, then there is going to be a huge drop in production off human labor. So they're going to be a universal income, which they'll get their
Ah,
they'll get their stipend to pay their McDonald's or fast food vouchers every single month, and their Netflix, so that they can sit on the couch and just be happy as a clam, while the big
right.
businesses continue to control the money supply and
Just
milk
churning it.
everything. And
Right.
so um, I think that definitely that will work. As far as automations go, to go with Kate's question, this depends on what you
Yeah,
use
I'm glad you
already.
got that. Go ahead.
So, for example, as an investor, when I was investing in real estate, I had a property manager that handled everything. So, I would say it depends on where you are and how much money you have and what your time is involved. So, like, if it costs you $1,000 to automate stuff, but you're not doing things that are $1,000 tasks, then you're just
Mm,
wasting money. But if for me, when I hired a property manager, paying them 8% of my fees to free up 30 hours of my week was well worth the investment. Plus, it's a tax deductible thing because it is an expense of the cost of doing business. And so, both of those, I would say, you need to find out what you need to automate first, and what tasks are you saving? Because if you automate everything and it's not bringing in income, then something's wrong. So you need to figure out what you need to automate first.
yeah, and that's a obviously a unique question for a broad subject because I mean you've actually taught me about some AI models and modules and things that I'm trying to get the head start on. Being an old guy in AI, um, you see somebody. I was just had one
I
that
can go
was
through this. Yeah, I got all these. I
okay.
can see them.
Yeah,
So I'll go through them. So starting with automation, there's also I use as a real estate investor or real estate agent, if that's what you are, Kate. Look at Go High Level. That's what I use. It's a great tool to do all of your funnels, to do your pipelines, to do automation, to do voicemail call drops, to auto follow up with SMS, to do email drops, to do
right.
your scheduling for posts, all that certain things. Do you think humans will fully rely on AI 2040? I think it'll be sooner than that. I think that not fully, but I think that AI is expanding so quickly right now that we're going to see huge reliance before 2030. I think they even said that AGI, which is like um, AI that has cognitive ability, essentially, where it's thinks it's
Learning.
uh, alive, essentially, should be out by next year. So that's crazy to think about. Brandon, what excites me most about Bitcoin? That's everything Jackson, Florida. I think that it's just another asset class for me to borrow against. So that's the only thing that excites me. Just any asset class you should be buying that you can borrow against. If that's a business that you build, that you can do a business line of credit where you borrow off the income of the business. If that's Bitcoin, where you borrow against its market value or its value, that you can borrow against. If that's doing a margin loan off of stocks to buy something, or if that's real estate where you're borrowing against it with a cash out refinance or a HELOC, equity line of credit, then all those are things that excite me because they're just debt that you can borrow against. Um, Tashi, loving this discussion. How do you see automation reshaping business by 2040? I think it's going to be super. It's already automation has been around already for 30 something years. So automation is
Right.
continued to evolve. Um, so I use automations every day. Um, I use AI with automations every single day. So I think that it's just, I think at a certain point, if you look at how things are growing and you look at Elon Musk's Neurolink, where if we can get a chip that goes into our head, where we have access to every single thing like ChatGPT, where we have an unfathom amount of knowledge instantaneously, then we can literally create anything we want. So um, it's and we'll have all the knowledge in order to do that. So I don't think by 2040 is going to be reshaping businesses. I think it's going to be in the next 2 or 3 years where we're seeing AI shape businesses even
Oh,
more.
literally the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, you're talking about how COVID kind of changed businesses is one thing. Are you saying that there's another level going on? And I want to hear your thoughts about the Starlink, the Elon Musk thing. You kind of surprised me with the chip in the head thing. Can you expand on this?
Yeah. So, your first question was about automation and how like COVID and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that it COVID was a great shakeup to get businesses that weren't profitable, barely profitable, to get out and go bankrupt and exit, so that it frees up more warehouse space to buy up. To it gets people to stay inside, to control, see what people are willing to put up with.
Give up.
Um,
Yep.
as far as automations and AI and that sort of thing, we already see that Amazon or Walmart, many of these companies already. You look at China; they already have their tracking system for every single person, and
Right.
their social rank. And so, if you, and I'm sure we have that already in the United States, it's just not public. It's just what the government uses because there's cameras all around and they can
Right.
track everything. And so, uh, pretty soon, I mean, you look at Elon Musk with their not cyber truck, but the big shipping truckers. Those are going to be all automated so that shipping can be done where with no human involvement. If all the cars are automated and talking to each other, then there won't be any accidents. There won't be any traffic because they'll all be able to work together. So the
Right.
productivity will be spread. Insurance will go down. So all these things will definitely decrease. Well, we look at green energy and solar, and we have Energy Star in our things, but utilities keep going up. But at a certain point, they're going to have to come down because of when they're controlling people and they're not going to work. They're If they don't do this thing, they're not going to have their electricity on. So there's going to be a whole wave of, I think, shakeouts before they're able to have full control, where you're able to only get your universal pay and get out
Right.
of like the workforce essentially because everything's automated. I can definitely see that by 2030, at least not by 2030, but a good step in that direction. As far as a Neuralinks,
Starting to see it. Oh, sorry. Starting to see it visually and feel it by the
yeah, I
twenty
mean, we
thirty.
already see it today because you look at
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely.
my Tesla drives by itself pretty good.
Yeah. That's a
And
nice
if
car.
all the cars are driving like that, like that's what they're shooting for with a lot of the EVs. So it's all automated, and that frees up a lot of space. You look at self
Yeah.
checkouts, Walmart, Target, they all have self checkouts. So they're reducing that because we can do it ourselves. But they'll have all the monitors that are able to track what you put in your basket, what you're not putting in your basket, what you put away, so that they can, if you steal something, you get your social rank dropped a
Ah,
little bit, and so you have less freedom because you can't go on an airplane or anything like that because you have a rank of C instead of B. Um, let's see.
wow.
Uh,
That's intense, man.
Neuralink, as far as that,
Yeah.
so there's been testing with him where they put it on, I think, 2 or 3 people, and they've already been able to work with computers, be able to move things with their eyes on the screen. They've been able to show some great progress with enabling the connectivity from the brain to severed spines and that sort of thing. So it's
Yeah.
helping with people in movement. But if it's connected to the internet
It's true.
and ChatGPT, like my phone's connected to ChatGPT, then just like our brains can be connected essentially with a chip, then you're going to have access to a whole slew of information. So lots of cool things in the horizon.
Yeah. All the things we used to see as on sci-fi in sci-fi movies and that are, I remember, I don't know, Captain Kirk goes through the elevator door and it opens in front of him when people first saw that, that was such a mind-blowing thing. That's so cool. Now in every grocery store you go in, they got the automatic doors. I mean, it's like, why wouldn't you have it? Same thing's going to happen here with this technology, huh?
Yeah, it's all the sci-fi movies are just glimpses of what the future hold.
Yeah, and once you can envision it and believe it, really nothing that can't be done. If we're only using 10% of our brain and we're here, hopefully this automation and some of the stuff that's coming out becomes much more beneficial to the average person.
Yeah, I would say if you don't have skills or you have a repetitive tasks, you're definitely going to be replaced. So that's why I said at the very beginning, start working on your market skills, be valuable to the marketplace, because you'll definitely be replaced.
Jeez. All right. So I think we got through most of it. That Starlink thing is interesting as hell. I don't know how hard that's going to be. Oh, Neurolink. Is that connected with the Star? Okay. I thought you were talking about the Starlink, but then from Starlink onto Neurolink, or are those two totally different things?
Starlink is the satellite. So
right.
It's to give internet from anywhere, essentially, feed information. And the more, obviously, the more processing data, like the EV cars, the more that they can talk to each other. That's all going to be done through satellite. So they need that infrastructure to talk to each other really, really quickly. So that's why Starlink is there. And then Neuralink is the chip in the brain that helps with people with connecting their neural pathways, essentially, from their brain.
Yeah. Okay.
To
so two
other parts of
totally
their
different
body.
things.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
two totally different. My mistake there, because I've seen it. Yeah, there are ways that people who are paralyzed or something get recovery from this what you're talking about.
Yes. So it's a chip that goes into the brain. Think of it like the
Crazy.
Matrix, where Neo plugged in through his brain and knew kung fu. And so
right.
definitely is something that is becoming a thing of sci-fi, is now becoming a real thing. Because if you think about how we learn is through repetitive tasks. And so if you can have this chip that, say you go to sleep and you're dreaming, and now it's having you go through thousands and thousands and thousands of tasks while you dream, you now know kung fu.
Yeah. Yeah, that is God, 20 years ago, let's say, that seems so far away. Today it's right up here in our all up in our Kool-Aid, as some would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything that we haven't covered so far that you'd like to go on this one? I'd really like to expand this and maybe talk to you a number of different times, but or closing thoughts here, Brandon.
Closing thoughts. Oh man.
Or was there another subject you wanted to go through? I know this has been an extremely exciting show. There's a lot of interest in there, and there should be. And when you're talking to people, if you're in the ages of 20 to 40, 50, maybe, people are very comfortable with this conversation, with the AI, with the automation, with people. The farther you get away from 40, like me, 60, 60, what am I, 62. It's not an exciting thing how to build your life. It's a scary thing. I was talking to your mother-in-law, and she and I were talking about how people are nervous about this because of all the things you said. But if your skills are getting up, then you take advantage of it. So that's a big thing for the older generation. I remember, I've said this before, but when people were when the internet came out, and those people that were my age, a lot of people, there was a lot of depression, and there was a lot of people that were isolated from society because everybody else was doing this computer thing and mobile phones, and people that have no idea what that's about. That was a big deal. I'm just thinking that the AI that we really need to learn, even before making money, just to be comfortable in the world that's coming. You're saying 3-4 years, you're going to have a completely different, well, the world is going to dramatically start changing again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely going to dramatically change. I think that I think that people aren't scared. People are scared of what they don't know. So, but they're too
True.
afraid to take action because we've been to go back to school. People are afraid to fail, and they're afraid of getting a C or a D or an F because they think they failed whatever they're learning. But that's how we learn, is through failure. It's our greatest teacher. So if you learn about it and you take action, there's nothing to be afraid of because you understand what it does. But then if you see what it can do, you can definitely understand what you can be prepared for. And so
Yeah.
you have to understand what you're dealing with, because if you don't, then you're going to always be in the unknown, and that's no way to
Mm-hmm.
live. And
No.
so that's why I've learned. I hated school. I did really bad. I didn't do really bad. I just played sports and I didn't really care about school. But I love learning today. And so I'm always learning about things that are coming out and shifting, from personal training to investing to car rentals to a SaaS company or software to e-commerce to Bitcoin. So all these different things I'm constantly learning, because each of these skills can be played off of each other that I've learned from previously. It's not like I'm starting over. I'm just taking what I learned previously and applying it to my current situation. And so if you can learn as much as you can, that's how you get ahead, is by constantly learning. And if you don't learn, then you're going to be falling behind, because there's people that are going to always be learning and applying that knowledge. And so if you're not learning, you're falling behind everyone else,
Yeah.
especially in the newer kids that are coming up in this age, where they're already given the newer information, and you're not willing to take the hour of your time in a day to watch a few YouTube videos or mess with ChatGPT a few times and ask it questions. Like ChatGPT, you can ask it as if it's a person. So you ask it what you want it, and it will give you back out that information. But if you put
Yeah.
junk information into it, you're going to get junk information back out. So you shouldn't be just like, hey, how do I start doing automation? It's going to give you like 10 different things. But if you
Right.
say like, hey, I'm a real estate investor named Kate, and I am struggling with these things, and I use this software, how would you automate this part of my business? Then it will give you exactly that information, and then you just keep asking it questions, and you have a now at this level, they're saying that Chat GPT 1.0 is actually the PhD level uh, in math and science and all of these different things. So you have a doctor's
Oh,
degree of information as a coach in your pocket through your phone.
that is amazing. Um, well, today's been, I was really excited about doing with you, and even a little nervous because I'm I'm talking to you about something, and of which I'm just learning, and I know you're extremely deep into this. We got a lot of good comments today. We got a bunch of things that people can start looking at and looking for. Do you want to give your like, if somebody wants to reach out to you, or if somebody wants to, if you just want to put that in the chat or and talk about it, is your website and so forth?
Yeah, you can go to youtube.com/at Brandon Duff, all one word. That's my YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe, I talk about everything that I'm learning, and I just
Yeah.
share what's going on at the current moment. from cryptocurrencies to automation to sales funnels to e-commerce to car rentals. I think I already said real estate, but everything. I actually spoke on stage at a convention that I talked about. It's about a 45-minute webinar, or more of a presentation of how I bought real estate in a different state when I was living in California. I was buying in in Las Vegas, and so
Right.
I just share what I'm doing at the current time on my YouTube. So if you have all sorts of information, or if you want to learn any of this stuff more in detail, I guess it's all on my YouTube channel.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, just before I let you go, I do want to push back on you on one thing. When you said your high school grades weren't that great, and they were actually pretty good, but you talk about because you were an athlete. I'm thinking school just doesn't hit the right things, because you know this. I used to get after you about playing video games, and you turned it into a business.
Yeah.
That was in high school. You were creating games, and then or I don't know what the right word is, and then selling them. And I remember one time I came over to your place when they're in California, and you said, "Remember this?" I had told you got to monetize that, or what the hell, and you ended up creating an entire lifestyle.
Yeah, I guess this will be my closing thoughts is you can make money doing anything. So if for me, that was as a kid, I loved playing World of Warcraft. I still kind of play it today. And I
Right.
would be up, I remember raiding at 2 o'clock in the morning with some Australian kids.
Oh
And
yeah, I know.
I remember my dad came and stole the mouse and keyboard. And so that wasn't going to happen. So
Oh, I remember that.
I bought my own keyboard and mouse and would put it back on and hide it in the night and still make money because I was being paid to play. And I also would automate my game where the
With bot,
character,
right?
a robot would, piece of software would play for me and would level up my characters. And then I would sell those accounts to gold farmers or other players. So definitely there is money to be made, and if you think you can do it, just believe that you can, and don't let anyone hold you back.
Yeah. Well, today's been truly special for me, at the very least, and I appreciate your time, Brandon. I'm gonna take care of some maintenance, some things I talk to people about at the end of every show. But I want to leave you with this. I love you, my son, and thank God you do what you do, because it's important.
Thanks so much. I love you too. I'm off to Walmart to pick up a bunch of supplies to ship to
We didn't
people
even
on
get into all that not retail. What did you call it? It's not
retail
wholesale.
arbitrage. Retail
Yeah,
arbitrage.
retail arbitrage. One quick question before you get out of here. Arbitrage in this description, what does it mean? I know what retail is. What's retail arbitrage?
I'm buying products in one marketplace at a discount and reselling it on another marketplace for a premium and making the difference in the spread. Just like
Yes.
it's talked about how banks make money off of your savings account, where they give you 0.01% and they sell it to me, or they lend me the money at 5%, and they're making a difference on the spread. I'm making a difference in the spread between Walmart and Amazon.
Well, there you are, folks. If you want to check out more and more information, either reach out to him on the information or the website, I guess, that he gave, and it's important information. But for now, Brandon, I'll tell Maddie I'll say hi to her, and I look forward to that. And for now, I love you, son.
Love you too. Bye, everyone. Thank you for the comments and the questions, and I look forward to the next one.
Excellent. All right, so that you can see why I'm very proud of that young man, because he's extremely knowledgeable and gifted about a number of different things. Don't get me wrong. Oh, I should have showed Brandon that. I took out my teenage granddaughter, I think it was 7-8 months ago or something, and took her out. No, actually, yeah, it was about that. Took her over. I went out to California. She and I flew over, and because the Maddie I was just talking about was born just over a year ago, and one's in Texas, one's in California. So I thought it was a great opportunity to create a memory. But one of the things that that Lauren, sorry, Lauren. One of the things that my granddaughter in California and I did is we got these matching wristlets or whatever you want to call them. So for now, that's it. Hey, thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you guys for the questions you asked. Those were some fantastic questions. And thank you all for following us, for being there. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel at Rod Duff 1939. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's get, as Brandon said, let's get more knowledgeable about things. Let's get more willing to learn new things, especially in this time now that's going to be moving at a much greater pace, and getting rhythm, and that pace will keep speeding up. And I mean, look at what Brandon said. I was a little bit shocked by that, to really have a starting big impact within as little as 2, maybe 5 years. I think we'll have self-driving cars all over by then. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Rod Duff. This show is Insights and Straight Talk on our YouTube channel at Rod Duff 1939. My website is rodduff.com. And Rod is spelled with two D's. So for now, I love you guys. Go out and say hi to somebody. Go out and look for a younger person and ask them if they know how to do automation, or ask them a question that they're involved in, that they're knowledgeable of. So that's it. God, I was really amped about doing this today, and it really. It was impressive. Again, I'm biased, but that was a great show. For everybody, I'd like to say good night or good afternoon. Have a good vibe. Be the reason that your surrounding has a good vibe. Love y'all. Bye for now.